What is going on, guys? We're going to be doing the Hansen Health weight loss blueprint to show you how to lose the weight and keep it off long term and create sustainability around your health and fitness, specifically around your weight loss. So we're going to be diving into this right now. Let me just pull up my little presentation that I got here real quick. Super excited for this one. This is gonna be packed with value. Gonna be a lot of strategies that we teach to our private clients. I just want to be able to give away to everybody. I think everybody should have access to this kind of information. So this is the training on how to lose the weight and keep it off. So if you're ready to finally stop the vicious cycle, of losing the weight, then gaining the weight back, and you're wanting to learn how to lose the weight and keep it off, then you're in the right place. And make sure that please comment below with recording if you're watching the recording right now. You see, I've worked with hundreds of moms just like you. And if you're like the clients I've helped, you've been trying again and again, struggling to lose the weight and keep it off. You've tried quick fixes, restrictive programs that have given you a quick result and was more like a means to an end, but then you gained it all back. You went back to those old habits. It wasn't a sustainable approach. And you're just overwhelmed with all the information online where you don't know where to even begin with all the gurus, marketing, fad diets, green tea strategies like the Shakeology from Beachbody and like all these different things that aren't designed to help you lose the weight and keep it off. And you've achieved weight loss, but haven't been able to maintain it or continue to lose it afterwards. And this goes much deeper. It's deeper than just keeping the weight off. You know, if you don't fix the problem now, you might be stuck in a body you hate the rest of your life, or even worse, gain more weight, can't keep up with your kids, and can't do basic activities that you like to do, like going hiking, just like going up the stairs and not feeling gassed, and just being able to like go for a walk and just do things that you enjoy outside. And how is it going to affect your mental health? And how are you going to show up for everyone every day? I know personally for me, when I was focusing on everybody else and not focusing on myself and working 7 days a week, my mental health took a toll where my depression, my anxiety was through the roof. I didn't feel like I was enough. No matter how much I bent over backwards, overextending myself, it just didn't, and it was never enough and it never filled my cup. It never allowed me to be in a good headspace. It wasn't until I focused on myself that things started to turn around for me. And what are the potential health risks and future costs of you not getting this area down? And here's what I don't want for you. I don't want you to completely fall off or you give up and go further backwards. You only wear baggy clothes and avoid getting pictures taken. You were not even in the family pictures, having no energy to do anything you love and can't show up strong for your kids where they start to even take on some of your bad habits, and you don't go out anymore because you're unhappy with your body and you feel embarrassed. Your self-esteem is really low and it's avoiding you from like, or it's preventing you from spending time with like your friends, your family, going out to events, a lot of the things that you love to do because you don't feel good about yourself. That's why the Hansen Health Weight Loss Blueprint is so freaking effective. Hi, I'm Alex Hansen. I've been training myself for 8 years and helping over 450 plus people with their health and fitness in the last 4.5 years. And that time I've helped over 20 people lose 50 plus pounds, over 100 people lose 30 plus pounds, 200 people lose 20 plus pounds, and keep it off. I've also been certified through CamFit Pro as a personal training specialist. I'm a nutrition expert, as well as work directly with high-level fitness coaches and IFBB Pro bodybuilders to grow and learn the science behind weight loss and health. I also regularly fly out to like Austin, Texas, LA, other like also Jamaica to like go to these different masterminds where I'm around all these other experts and fitness pros and dietitians to make sure I'm learning everything that is up to date with health and fitness to make sure you're getting the best strategies. And I've personally lost 55 pounds and I've competed in a bodybuilding show, getting to lower than 5% body fat, getting second in my first competition, one freaking place away from getting my pro card, where I could actually go compete with pro bodybuilders. And honestly, it's probably because I had tattoos. I swear, if I didn't have the tattoos, I would have got that first place next time. And I've helped hundreds of moms like you reclaim their strength and vitality, and I'm going to help you do the exact same thing that hundreds of my clients have. I'm going to share with you the sustainable weight loss secrets our clients and myself have used. And at the end, I promise I won't just throw all this information at you and just leave you to yourself to go and take action on your own. And for those of you with questions or who maybe want some additional support, I'll share with you how we at Hansen Health can help you execute in creating a permanent lifestyle change around your weight loss, health and fitness, and mindset. So let's get into it. I want to show you the Hansen Health weight loss blueprint. Let's get it, guys. So This methodology is designed specifically to show you how to lose weight in a sustainable way and keep the weight off during even life's ups and downs. So what is required for weight loss? You only need to be in a calorie deficit. When it comes to all the science, this is a science-based approach. You need to be on a caloric deficit. But the trick is making it sustainable and consistent. Especially as a busy mom, like the ups and downs, the different seasons and changes that can happen throughout a full year. There's so many different things that are going to get in the way. And also not putting the right foods into your mouth, not approaching it the right way, not having the right types of exercise. But we're gonna dive into all those pieces. So lasting nutrition strategies. So firstly, make sure you're drinking water and sleeping. If you're not drinking enough water and you're not sleeping, that should be your first step. Because the thing is, a lot of the time, you're not just thirsty, you're hungry. So making sure you're having, like, I would say at least 3 to 4 liters of water every single day. So 90 ounces to about 120 ounces. Like maybe even having some water first thing in the morning, like having 16 to 30 ounces of water in the morning has been proven to boost your metabolism up to about 25%, gets your energy going, removes brain fog, and just really sets the tone for the day where you're going to be more focused on your water intake. And sleeping. If you're not getting enough sleep, your hormones are going to be all over the place. Your ghrelin and your leptin. So your ghrelin is the hormone that tells you that you're hungry. Ghrelin shoots through the roof when you don't have enough sleep. Leptin is the hormone that tells you that you're satisfied. So no matter how much that you're eating, like when you have a bunch of food but you're still hungry afterwards, like that's the type of feeling that you would have consistently if you don't get enough sleep, because leptin decreases where you never know if you're satisfied and you're also hungrier. So then that makes it really difficult to stay with a low calorie intake. If you're at for example, if you're at a healthy calorie deficit, like 1500 calories, if you're never satiated and like never satisfied, you're just hungry all the time, that's going to be so difficult. Which after you get your water intake and you're sleeping down, we actually have some strategies on the next slides. We're going to dive a little bit further into this. So first thing that you want to make sure that you're doing, I highly recommend this to anybody. Track your food. Like MyFitnessPal, Eat This Much, any kind of food tracking app where you can track your macronutrients and your calories. Not just your calories, but also your macronutrients. So first thing, before I start diving into these pieces, you want to make sure that you have high protein. Like I would say ideally for protein, you want to have about 0.82 grams of protein per pound of goal body weight. So if your goal body weight is like 150 pounds, take out your calculator, take 150 and times that by 0.82, and that's going to give you the amount of protein that you should be going for every single day. And at minimum, have 100 grams of protein every single day. And creating awareness. So the biggest thing about tracking your food is creating awareness. I'm actually just going to stop sharing for a quick sec. So you want to make sure you're tracking your food, because the thing is, I've had clients where they're stuck with their weight loss journey and just don't know if they're moving in the right direction. And it's just a matter of like there's small things that they have been told has been healthy their whole life and end up having a ton of calories where it makes it really difficult to stay on track. Also, there's a lot of small incremental micro things that you put into your mouth on a day-to-day basis that will incrementally add up significantly over a day-to-day basis. To give you a little bit more clarity on exactly what a healthy calorie deficit looks like, is let's just say that just to maintain your body, like where you're not gaining weight, you're not losing weight, it's just staying within a couple of pounds and you're just stuck at the same place. And let's say it's about 2000 calories. To be on a healthy calorie deficit, you want to be having about 1700 to about 1500 calories to be on a healthy calorie deficit where you're not like losing muscle, affecting your hormones and your energy and like depleting your metabolism, and making sure you're still able to get stronger and still be able to create a sustainable calorie deficit. You're not just ravenous and want to eat everything all the time. So having just small things like having a tablespoon of peanut butter is a couple hundred calories. Having a coffee from Starbucks could be hundreds of calories of difference from just having a regular coffee. So when you start to track your food, you're going to create way more awareness on what you're currently having on a regular basis. I had a client that was eating garlic bread on a regular basis and didn't realize how much butter and calories went into making garlic bread. Like I think it's butter. Honestly, I'm not a big garlic bread person, but I know that garlic bread has a lot of calories. And once she started tracking that, she realized like, holy shit, I need to stop having garlic bread. And it just automatically allows you to create more educational decisions to move in the right direction. Because ignorance is not bliss. Like, especially if you eat like shit and you have like a really off weekend and like you had a bunch of things that you know you probably shouldn't be having or having a little bit too much of it. And you're like, I'm just not going to track this. Like, just because it's up in the air and you didn't track it doesn't mean the calories aren't there. Like, one of my favorite things I say to my clients is bad data is just as important as good data. Because when you go and track that pizza, you're gonna be like, holy shit, I didn't realize how many calories were in that. You're gonna probably do a little bit more activity. You're gonna like, put a little bit more exercise in. You're probably gonna be more diligent with your calories afterwards and like finding more weight loss friendly foods, which we're going to dive into together. So the thing is with tracking food, it's also not like the end all be all strategy. It's definitely going to help create a lot more accuracy. It's going to create a lot more awareness. And it's also a temporary thing that you don't have to do permanently for the rest of your life. The thing is, when it comes to tracking food, it's going to be the most effective method. Like if you're intuitively eating and like you haven't tracked your food before, you don't really have a lot of experience around this, it's going to be so difficult to know what to look for foods. Like you're not going to know that non-fat Greek yogurt is going to be one of the best foods for high satiety and like high protein and low calories, or like knowing what to pick for dinner, for lunch, for breakfast. Like, cause like a lot of people will go for breakfast or like, oh, I'm just going to have some bacon and like some avocado toast, which are just straight fats basically, which is just a bunch of calories. But like people have told you that avocados are really good for you, which they are. They have healthy fats, they have fiber, they're like really good for micronutrients. But for calories and weight loss, which is a totally different goal than just being healthy, that's going to be really difficult to stay within your calories because it's if it's just a bunch of fats, like to give you a little bit of clarity, when it comes to each macronutrient, like protein has about 3 calories per gram, carbs has 4 calories per gram, and fats have 9 calories per gram. So if you have something that's heavier in fats, or like maybe you're even having like some meat, you're having protein, but it's like a meat that has a lot of fats added to it, or it's like a bunch of like fattier types of like ground beef, for example, or like fatty fish, where that's going to have a lot more fats than it's going to be protein. So it's not going to be super weight loss friendly. So tracking these foods is just going to create overall awareness and have more tools in your tool belt of like what foods to look for on a consistent basis. Then eventually, once you've been tracking for like years or like for like a long time consistently, then you can start to intuitively eat a little bit on a regular basis and you'll know what to look for to stay within your calories. But that's my the biggest thing when it comes to tracking food and also weighing your food and tracking every single thing that you're having. You're having creamer in your coffee, track it. You're having that bite of your kid's sandwich, track it. Like make sure that every single little thing that you're tracking, because the thing is like if there's just small little things that you're letting yourself get away with and you're justifying not doing it, you'll be like, oh, like I don't want to weigh that out, or like I don't really know how much this is to track it, so I'm just not going to track it. And then it just has hundreds of calories that are just up in the air, where then you just plateau and you don't see results. Whereas if you're on a calorie deficit, like I've caught myself do it where I'm tracking my food wrong, then I start tracking it correctly, and I feel like I've just wasted weeks of work because I was plateaued from tracking it incorrectly, which I've ran into myself. What's happened to the best of us. So making sure you're very, very diligent about that. And also, if you want in the comments, I can actually send you over a calorie tracking Bible that'll show you exactly how to track your food and overcome those small little discrepancies that can stop you from seeing those results. Let's get back into it. Okay. So if you don't want to track your food, which highly recommend you track your food 100%, but follow these tips. So stop when you're satisfied. Don't eat past that. And before you eat anything, like I would go for 25 to about 30 grams of protein, have some fiber, have some water, or like have some potatoes or like some veggies or some fruit, things that are going to be like a lot higher in satiety, which are going to fill you up more and have less calories. Then wait about 15 minutes to allow your body to process it because it takes a little bit of time for your brain to like send signals to your stomach that you're actually satisfied. Then see if you still want to have food afterwards. Whenever I have anybody intuitively follow their nutrition like this, by the time they wait that 10 to 15 minutes, they don't even really feel like having anything else, or like they'll have like a little bit of something. And also focus on high satiety foods like protein, lean meats like fruit and veggies, oatmeal, potatoes, complex carbs. And also you want to make sure you're looking for alternatives. So like the thing is, you don't want to just cut out a bunch of things that you really like to have. Look for lower calorie options that are similar and taste 90% as good. Like find whatever it is that you want, but with a higher protein content, like protein ice cream, for example. Like personally, I swap out milk for protein milk and I swap out ice cream for Ninja Creamies, which like is a as you guys know, like the Ninja products when it comes to like Ninja blenders or like Ninja processors, you can get a Ninja Creamy where you can actually make your own at-home protein ice cream for like having an entire pint of protein ice cream for 250 calories. Or you can get like gummies where you can get like Smart Sweets where you can have an entire bag of gummies for 130 calories and it has a bunch of fiber added to it. So looking for different things that are alternatives, you can even get protein bread, like just whatever you can find. Personally, for me, like I also have like a coffee right here where it's a black coffee, right? Like I put like a splash of milk into it and I put some Splenda, and then it's like a fraction of the calories of getting like a regular iced coffee from Tim Hortons, which is like I think it's about 90 calories. And having this, it's about like 5 or 10 calories, like max. Like it's very, very small amount of milk and like some Splenda to get some sweetness to it. So start to look for ways that you can have less calories on a regular basis with the things that you're already consistently having. Also, yeah, if you go to the at the flexible dieting lifestyle on Instagram, he finds like pizza pockets, like brownies, like all these different tasty foods and finds a way to make them high protein and low calories. Like highly recommend following him on Instagram. So for high satiety foods, no foods will help you lose fat, but some pack high satiety per calorie, which will help you feel more full while sticking to a calorie deficit. Adding more of these foods help me stay on track when trying to lose fat. So lean proteins. So protein tends to be highly satiety, like for example, like chicken breast, chicken thighs, 96.4 ground beef. So things that are going to be like a lot, like finding like lean ground beef that has less fat added to it. Shrimp, egg whites. Like I actually personally love egg whites. It's one of the only foods that has no carbs or fats, and it's just straight protein. Tuna, sirloin, fat-free Greek yogurt. That's definitely one of my go-tos. Having like a bunch of blueberries with that, pork tenderloin, etc. Melons often have high volume per calorie, like example, like watermelons, cantaloupe, honeydew. I'm allergic to cantaloupe, so I'm more of a watermelon fan. And then a vegetable, so like often high fiber and volume. So examples like lettuce, cucumber, celery, carrots, peppers, squash, zucchini, broccoli, cauliflower. Like if you want to have like a rice and beef bowl or like a rice and chicken bowl, and like adding a bunch of lettuce and like a bunch of like peppers and like other things added to it, where it just increases the overall volume and you get more bites out of the food that you're currently having. And we have more bites, and when you're chewing more, that actually also signals to your body that you're more satiated. And berries, so often high in fiber and volume, like examples like strawberry, raspberries, blueberries, blackberries. By adding in more of these foods, you may find that you can eat more volume while losing weight. And you need consistent systems to create consistency around this. So meal prepping ahead of time and planning ahead of time with your nutrition within like a food tracking app, or like even just like taking a lot of the high satiety foods that I mentioned and looking for those at the grocery store. So that way you can stay within low calories and have high volume. So you feel satiated, you feel satisfied, and that's going to make it so you can stick to a calorie deficit for a sustainable long-term basis, and sneak in a tiny sweet or salty treat within like 100 to 200 calories daily if you want. Don't tell yourself that you can't have anything. If you're like, oh, I can't have this, I can't have this, I can't have this. Like I definitely would stay away from pizza for the most part because like that's just so many calories. But majority of things you can have like a little bit of something. You can have like a cookie. You can have like a little bit of chips. You can even find protein chips. You can even find protein cookies if you go to like your local supplement store. Like that would definitely be a good option because that would also contribute to your overall protein intake. And for those of you that are asking, like, Alex, why should I be going for protein? So when it comes to protein, a lot of you are also not wanting to lose weight, but you want to tone up. You don't want to just like have loose skin and just lose a bunch of weight. You also want to change up body composition. So that's where like strength training would come in. So like when it comes to actually losing body fat, the biggest reason for obesity and having additional body fat, there's actually been a lot of studies done for this, is a lack of skeletal muscle. So if you actually don't have muscle, it makes it a lot harder to boost to lose fat. 'Cause it actually boosts metabolism and makes your body a fat burning machine. So doing strength training and doing resistance training will actually help with you losing fat, but also toning up and helping you create more of like that hourglass figure. Because you actually want to be like working on your back, you want to be working on like your glutes and your thighs. And also like it's going to help you feel stronger, more functional. But like really the thing is like you just burn more calories just by existing as a human being when you have more muscle mass. And when it comes to protein, there's actually a fun fact. When you have food, by digesting food, your body actually burns a set amount of calories. But when you're having protein, you burn way more calories than you burn when you're having carbs or fats. So if you have 100 grams of just pure protein, you actually burn about 20 to 30% of those calories. So if you just had 100 calories, you're burning 20 to 30 calories of that 100 calories. So when you have more protein, not only do you get to have more food, you just burn more calories, and it helps you build more muscle and tone up and boost metabolism. And it's like, again, it's high satiety. So it's the highest satiety macronutrient where you're just going to be more full, and it makes it so much easier to stick to a calorie deficit. So if you can find a bunch of different proteins and like make a list of your favorite proteins and just alternate through all those different proteins, that's going to make a huge difference. Personally, for me, I love Greek yogurt. I love egg whites. I love having like tacos or spaghetti that are like high protein. So having like very lean ground beef, finding like egg noodles and stuff like that. I take away like the cheese from the tacos, and I put like salsa with it because salsa is very low calorie condiments. But just finding different things that you like that are going to be higher in protein and high satiety. And when it comes to prepping, I would actually keep it to 1 to 2 proteins and minimalistic recipes to keep it simple and actionable. When you start to add a bunch of different ingredients, it starts to become this giant gray area where it's really difficult to track. It's really difficult to be accurate with it, where it's also more simple, where it just makes it so it's easier to prep your food for the week. Whereas if you have like a bunch of these meals where you have to put a bunch of things together, like honestly, I hate cooking. That sounds super daunting and overwhelming. And I know for like a lot of the mom clients that I work with, they already have enough on their plate. They already have enough things that they have to focus on. The more simplified that it is, the more actionable that it's going to be. And if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. You're going to go with the most convenient option. Like this is the best example. So like if you have like a really stressful, emotionally escalated day, you get to the end of the day, you have nothing prepped, nothing planned, and you just have a bunch of kids' snacks and cookies and stuff readily available in the house, and you had like a really stressful day, and it's at the end of the day. Like, sure, it sounds good on paper to like make your food at the end of the day, but you're gonna have the energy and the bandwidth to actually do it. Like the likelihood of you ordering DoorDash, eating nothing, or having just like some convenient snacks out of the cupboard goes up significantly, which then that is actually a huge, like that's where self-sabotage starts to come in, because it's just human nature to like want food, especially after a really stressful day. So when it's already prepped and ready to go, you make the healthy food the more convenient option. Or like I would even like make it so you design your house or like your fridge and your pantry so it is benefiting you and making the best decisions. So like when you're having like when you prep your food, I would actually put them in clear containers and have them at the front of the fridge. So when you open up your fridge, all your healthy food that's already prepped and ready to go is right there. And like having all your unhealthy food put in a really inconvenient place. There's actually this funny thing that I read in Atomic Habits when it comes to making habits unattractive that you don't want to be doing anymore. So like when you have like a cupboard that has all the junk food in it, having a picture of somebody that's like from like the 500-pound man that's like morbidly obese and just like putting it there. So every time you open up the cupboard, you have to look at that picture. And then it's just like, oh, I don't know if I should have those chips. Like not saying that that's going to happen or anything like that, but like just having like the worst possible outcome that you never want to happen on a picture and having to see that. But also just having it in a very inconvenient place where it's like a deep, dark cupboard where you have to get a step stool to go and get it, and then having all the healthy snacks readily available. It's going to make it so much easier to stay on top of it. And when you prep and plan your nutrition, you're helping future you. The thing is with discipline, the most overlooked definition of discipline is sacrificing what you want now for what you want later. So making sure like you're sacrificing like that effort, that energy, that time that you have to put in to prep all those meals, you're making every other day going forward so much easier for yourself, where then it makes it that much easier to create more consistency. So hidden calories. So these are something that like this is something you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to when it comes to like tracking your food, what you're looking for, like why you need to weigh your food instead of just eyeballing it. Like if you just eyeball your food and have a tablespoon of peanut butter, where you're like, oh, that looks like a tablespoon. It's 300 calories instead of 119 calories. Or, oh, it's just a dash of oil when it's 100 calories more than you actually thought that it was. And remember, when I told you what a healthy calorie deficit looks like, if you just have a couple of these discrepancies throughout the day, that's going to bring you off that 300 to 500 calorie deficit like that. Or if you have like a Saturday or a Sunday, where you just kind of like go off the rails, which actually I'm going to talk about a little bit later on one of the next slides, that can actually throw off your entire week worth of calories, because your calories are based off of a week to week. Your calories are not based off of a day to day. So if you have like 4 or 5 good days and then you eat like shit for 2 or 3 days, that can throw off all of the work that you put in, where like you're basically back at zero and you've seen no progress. And like a handful of almonds versus an actual handful of almonds, much bigger of a difference. So when it comes to calorie intake, here's like some of the highs and the lows. So like it can promote awareness of your food intake, as you control your eating habits, gives you a good idea of calories in versus calories out, and it creates certainty, which with more certainty creates confidence. And it's going to take a little while to recognize those habits, like that's totally normal. And it can become obsessive. So making sure like you're not super strict and like use it as a guideline, and there's going to be room for error. Like I tell my clients, bad data is just as important as good data. Like you want to make sure you're creating awareness, but you want to make sure that you're promoting balance and still fitting in those things that you like to have. Use it as a tool. Don't use it as an obsessive thing that you have to specifically hit the exact calorie count and macronutrients that it gives you, and requires you to make an effort. So disclaimer, not a bad thing. Like you're gonna have to put like a little bit of effort into it, but thinking about sacrificing what you want now for what you want later. Like I track everything that I eat before I eat it, not after I eat it. Because like the thing is, if I track it before I eat it, I'm like, oh, I should only have half of that. Or maybe I shouldn't even have that off the menu. I'm gonna go for this instead. And it just makes you have more educated decisions on how to move forward in the best way. So why eyeballing is calories is hard. So coming back to why it needs to be measured. So like for example, like taking a look at like half an avocado on toast versus like a full avocado on toast. So like that's 200 calorie difference. Same with the 30 grams of peanut butter on toast. It's a 300 calorie difference. Looks the exact same, doesn't it? So like the thing is like if you don't weigh it, it could be such a massive difference if it's calorically dense and it looks very similar. And again, 300 to 500 calories to be in a healthy calorie deficit. Though food can look the same, calorie values can be very different. To determine accurate consumption, instead of using your eyes, it's probably best to use labels and scales to measure the calories you consume more accurately. And this is a very blurry picture, but like drinks. So like for an entire day of beverages, if you have like orange juice in the morning, you have a mocha, you have like a regular like Coca-Cola, you have a fruit drink, you have a sweet tea, and have a beer at the end of the day, that's 1,370 calories. Like drinking water, drinking like diet drinks, there was actually a study done when it comes to people that drink diet drinks or people that drink water and who lost more weight. And a lot of you, I might get a little bit of hate for this, but diet drinks have actually been proven to help people lose more weight than water because it actually helps them get a fix and gets like that carbonation, they get like that sweetness, but it's 0 calories. And then whereas with water, it doesn't give you that fix. Like you can definitely drink a ton of water. Like if you like I would definitely probably like find something that you can put into the water where you can get some Crystal Lights, you can get some Mio, you can maybe get some bubblies from Superstore or something like that, just so that way you have something to like help curb those cravings. I personally really like getting just or even just getting like black coffee is great if you like coffee. It's also a diuretic. It's going to be more of a hunger suppressant, so it's going to actually help suppress hunger. And I like me some diet pop as well too. And stay away from the Starbucks coffees. Like there's so many freaking calories and like just getting a coffee from somewhere where like even if they just put creamer into it, like it can be 1 to 200 calories because creamer is just basically pure fats. So in a calorie deficit but not losing weight, what you track versus what you actually had. So instead of having 28 grams of almonds, you had 42 grams of almonds. So like again, this really comes back to like you need to make sure when you're tracking your food, you're actually weighing your food. And condiments. So like a lot of these are going to be really heavy in calories, especially when it comes to like olive oil. I personally really like to go for like hot sauce is great. Going for salsa is also a really good option. Soy sauce is pretty good as well too. So like these are definitely ones that I would like definitely avoid is like salad dressings, like ketchup and mayonnaise, barbecue sauce, marinades, alcohol, coffee additives, like sugary drinks, nuts and seeds, granola bars, dried fruits, oils and butters, cooking sprays, gravies and broths, like hidden fats and sugar. So like restaurants often add extra butter, oils, and sugar to enhance the flavor. They don't care if you lose weight, they just want it to taste good. And then portion sizes. So like restaurant portions are typically much larger than standard servings. So I would even add about 20 to 30% more calories to whatever you're having from a restaurant, just so that way you know that you're still within a calorie deficit. And healthy food misconceptions. So smoothies can be high in calories if loaded with fruits, sweeteners, and dairy. And avocados, like nutritious but high in calories, watch the portion sizes, like I was mentioning before. And protein bars and shakes can be like calorie bombs if not chosen wisely. So being very strategic and tracking your food will create so much more awareness. And again, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. If you're not prepping, you're not planning for your weekend. Like if there's like nothing planned out for the entire weekend, like that actually comes back to so it comes to this one. Don't be a 57 percenter. So if you're crushing it, so a 57 percenter is when somebody's crushing it Monday to Thursday, everything's going super well. Then Friday it comes along. They're like, I've had a really tough week. I deserve a drink. And I'm gonna go out for some food with my friends and like just go and enjoy myself. Before you know it, Friday's kind of like a little bit off the rails. You probably had a little bit too many calories. Then you go into Saturday and you don't have the same morning routine that you had Monday to Friday. You just sleep in, you take your sweet time, you're on your phone constantly, you have no structure to the day, or you're kind of just going with the flow. And then you get invited out to go and do things. You're like, oh yeah, and you're gonna go with the path of less resistance. So you're gonna go out for drinks, go out for food. You're gonna kind of go with the flow and have whatever you want to have. And like typically that's gonna throw off Saturday. Sunday's typically about the same thing, and you're like frantically trying to get your shit together to like plan everything, get everything prep for Monday. By the time Monday comes around, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are just completely thrown off, and you've only hit Monday to Thursday, which is only 57% of what you're supposed to be hitting. And if you got a 57% on your math test, would your mom really be super happy with it? Probably not. So making sure you're hitting at least 80% and then having like the 20% for like not so great foods. But the thing is, you can fit these foods in when you're tracking. You can track to have those tasty, delicious kinds of foods that you want to have. I personally like to fast during the weekend so I can have more calories later in the day. And that's a total myth, by the way. If you have like food before bed, doesn't mean you're going to gain a bunch of weight. It's your overall daily caloric intake. You're actually your entire weekly caloric intake. And a good way to understand what your entire week's worth of calories is, if you add all 7 days together and you divide that by seven, it'll give you an average of what your calories are for the week. So making sure that your average of calories is where it's supposed to be. Like you can have some days that are like a little bit up and down sometimes. I would definitely try and keep it as like within 100 calories as best as possible. But like planning out your weekends, figuring out where you're going to be going out for food, finding things that are measurable off the menu, like getting an 8-ounce steak and like getting a side, like making sure that you're getting a salad and like not having a bunch of extra condiments added to it instead of having fries. And like looking for like you can even ask for a chicken breast. Like if you just go to a restaurant, like I went to like I was at an airport and they had nothing on the menu that looked very calorically friendly. So I ended up actually just asking if I could just get an egg white omelet with some ham added to it, which is ham is just basically just pure protein. And they ended up making it for me. It was a little bit more expensive than I wanted it to be, but it was within my calories. And a lot of people will accommodate. They like servers want a tip. They want to be able to give good service. So if you ask for like a chicken breast, they probably have it. They probably have those ingredients in the back where they can charge you for it. So even just asking the difficult questions, asking for it to be grilled and not baked, for example, and like or is that the word? But like making sure it's grilled so it's not cooked with like butter and oil and a bunch of added calories to it can help you still go out to restaurants and enjoy yourself. Also, if you go to like the funny thing is McDonald's is actually probably one of the most nutritional fact available resources online. Whereas if you go to a bunch of other places, you're not really 100% sure what the caloric intake is and what the protein intake is. McDonald's has that shit dialed. Whereas like I still have like a little bit of McDonald's here and there, like every other week. Sometimes I have it once a week because it's a lot easier to track and stay within my calories. Because there was actually a study done where a guy lost 21 pounds in 21 days eating only McDonald's. So it doesn't matter what you're eating as long as you're tracking it. But the thing is you want to make sure that you're sticking with those high satiety foods that I mentioned so you can stay satisfied and satiated so that you're not just starving the entire week and then you get to the weekend, you just want to eat everything. And then you just throw off the entire week's worth of calories. Like that's what you typically want to avoid and keep it within 100 calories, having high protein, lots of veggies, fiber, fruit, potatoes, like lots of those types of things, like having like oats in the morning, having Greek yogurt, egg whites, like all those things are going to really fill you up. And also, if you like want a high protein recipe guide, you just put recipes in the comments and I can actually just shoot that over to you and we can send you our family friendly weight loss high protein recipe guide. Okay. So again, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Make sure you're planning your nutrition out, like anticipating what's happening. If you're going to an event, if you're going on a vacation, like making sure you're prepping your food, having everything planned and ready to go and making it the healthy food, the more convenient option. And if you're not growing, you're dying. If you're not moving forwards, you're moving backwards. So the thing is a lot of people, when they lose the initial amount of weight, like when it comes to sustaining the weight loss, they start to get complacent where they're like, oh, I look like I want to get ready for my trip to Mexico. I want to look good with my shirt off in Hawaii, or like I want to look good for that wedding. And I want to fit into that pair of like size 10 jeans or like whatever it is. Then they finally achieve it and they're like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Then they get to Mexico and they're drinking margaritas, eating like shit, and going right back into their old habits. So you need to start to think about, what can I do to make an identity shift? How can I become the person that treats their body as a temple, like having like affirmations you say to yourself on a regular basis, where you're a happy, healthy mom that prioritizes her health. And just because you have days off from work doesn't mean you have days off from your health. And like, I'm the type of person that's going to continue to focus and grow and improve with my health and fitness, but like consistently getting clear on what your why is and why you're doing this in the first place. Because I have clients, like, it's part of, like, there's something called the emotional cycle of change. When you start to hit those initial milestones and you're starting to feel really good about your weight loss, you actually start to run into different phases where we call complacency. You start to justify, or like the valley of despair, where like you hit that initial milestone and you're understanding like the tedious things that you need to do to like get to those results, but you're starting to get a little bit bored. You start to get a bit complacent. Other things take priority. You start to shift your focus. Maybe some personal life stuff happens, and then you completely start to slip back into old habits. Because it takes about 16 to 18 months to create a permanent lifestyle change. It takes about 58 something days to create a new habit, but it's not a lifestyle change yet. If something really impactful happens, that can throw you off track. So making sure you have something to anchor you to stay on track and stay motivated makes a massive difference. Like in the morning, like a lot of our clients, we have them visualize and like focus on their goals. Like for example, if they want to like look good in that two-piece in Mexico, turning people's heads and feeling confident, feeling good in their body, they visualize that. Like, how would it feel like having the sand in your toes? And like, how would it feel like strutting and like holding yourself walking down the beach? Maybe it's like breaking that generational curse so you can create a healthier lifestyle for you and your family. And like picturing what that would look like, saying it out loud and doing it on a consistent basis. And then once you start to get further into your journey, your goals are going to change. Personally, for me, my mental health was the biggest thing that I really wanted to focus on, because I struggle with depression. I struggle with anxiety, where I even had suicidal ideations, and I wasn't focused on myself. I was focused on everybody else, and that was causing me to project these negative emotions onto everybody else. And it was really putting me into like basically rock bottom, right? I wasn't sure if I was going to come out of it, and being able to feel good and feel confident, feel good about myself. That was my biggest fueling factor that created the motivation for me to show up and have that discipline to show up on the days that I didn't want to. Then once I started to get past that point where I was like, I feel happy most of the time. I'm feeling really good. And I did get complacent. I actually put on a little bit of body fat. I ended up regressing a little bit, but I ended up hiring a coach who had way more experience than me, joined their community of like-minded people, and they really focused on growth and like creating a vision for yourself, like a long-term vision of like, what's that identity shift? What's that greater version of yourself? What are they doing on a consistent basis? Are they drinking on the weekends? What type of people are they hanging out with? What are they saying no to? What are their routines and habits? And I started to get really clear on like wanting to inspire other people, seeing what limits I could push. I set my sights on like doing a bodybuilding competition and like seeing how far I could push my body. Not saying you have to do a bodybuilding competition, but starting to think about like, what can you do? Like, how strong can you get? How much can you inspire your family or your community to be able to make a bigger impact in their life? That's going to make a massive difference on you being able to create more of a sustainable, healthy lifestyle change, is when you stay focused and you have a motivating why to show up every single day. So making sure you're focusing on growth and baby steps over no steps. So coming into baby steps over no steps is, you're going to have weeks where you're going to fall off track. That's like, it's going to happen. You're going to suck. You're going to fail. You're going to run into roadblocks. You're going to go on trips. You're going to have people that require your attention. You don't get your workouts in when you don't want, or like when you feel like you can't get them in. Because the thing is when we start to get to a certain point, like especially a lot of us we have that 100 or nothing mentality, and a lot of moms have that as well. Like especially as a caregiver, where you want to give your best for your kids, you want to give your best to your partner, you want to give your best to your work, you want to do the same thing for yourself when you do focus on yourself. But the thing is, doing that on a consistent, sustainable basis is not going to be realistic. The thing is when everything's going well, that high when you're crushing your workouts, you're crushing your nutrition, everything's going super well. But as soon as you get really busy and you have like a lot of stuff going on, this high comes down to about here. But because it was up here, anything below this, you started to like basically feel like you were half-assing it. You didn't feel like you were doing enough. Like most of the time you're doing like an hour, 45-minute workout. As soon as you do like a 20-minute workout, you do like a 10-minute workout, you're like, this is nothing. What's the point of me even doing this? But the thing is, when it comes to building a habit, it's focusing on showing up and getting it done. Like you don't brush your teeth for 30 to 60 minutes to build a habit around it. You still do it on a routine basis. Is if you focus on doing 10-minute workouts and lowering your standards to match your energy and your bandwidth and your capacity to take things on, and you're focusing on just incremental steps and focusing on baby steps over no steps. So doing like 10-minute workouts, 20-minute workouts, like 20 minutes is 1% of your day. Or maybe just tracking your food. Maybe it's not planned or prepped, and maybe you're not hitting your protein, but you're just tracking your food just to have awareness on what you're bringing into your body. Or like maybe making sure that you're going to bed a little bit earlier and like really focusing on your sleep, or like focusing on your water intake and just focusing on what you can do to just focus on showing up. Because the thing is, if my favorite analogy is that, like, imagine if you had a friend of yours. It was like, tomorrow morning, I'm going to pick you up. We're going to go work out. They don't pick you up. You're gonna be like, okay, maybe something happened. Then they do that 3 or 4 more times. You're gonna be like, screw that person. I'm not going to trust that person. I'm not going to rely on that person, right? Then you flip that onto yourself. Like every time that you get busy, every time that something comes up, you're like, oh, I'm going to get back on it tomorrow. Next week's going to be a lot more free. I'm going to get back on it. Then something else comes up. You're really inconsistent with it. You don't follow through with it the way that you ideally wanted to. You start to lose trust with yourself. You actually start to lose confidence with your ability to even be able to do it in the first place. Whereas when you focus on habit development and focusing on just showing up and consistently doing it, just small steps versus no steps, you're going to create confidence around those busy situations. You're going to create confidence around when things get stressful, where you're going to feel confident in your ability to show up and take action, imperfect action, because it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be great, but you're going to be showing up and you're going to be one step closer to building a long-term sustainable lifestyle. Hope you guys are liking this training. I'm loving this. I'm amped. I'm ready to get after it. Let's keep it going. And if you've seen some of the testimonials on this page, you know that the transformations you're looking for really is possible. People who are exactly where you're sitting have been broken through and gotten results. Like, for example, my client here, Tara, she was stuck focusing on her kids, prioritizing everybody else's needs, had no boundaries in place. Her nutrition was kind of like whenever she felt like it and like what was ever convenient. But like she had tried losing weight in the past where she did a bunch of cardio. She was like, move more, eat less. She tried other quick fix things in the past, but nothing was sustainable for her. She almost got to the point where she's like, I don't even know if I'm able to do this. First thing we did was making sure she had non-negotiable time in her schedule. Like she was planning for it, because if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Made sure she was picking those high satiety foods, things that were convenient and like readily available, upping her protein intake, focusing on strength training, and making sure that she was tracking her food, weighing her food, but most importantly, like really planning things out, like figuring out when she had to take her kids to soccer, when she was going to be going out like on trips with her kids, and making sure she was really focusing on just that consistency and that baby steps over no steps. And now she's down over 33.6 inches on her whole body, where she's gained a ton of muscle, lost a bunch of fat. Like a lot of you that would look at this is like, oh wow, she's probably lost like 30 pounds of fat or like 25 pounds of fat. She's only down, like I think she's down like 15 to 20 pounds max. And this is after 8 months. And she's down 33.6 inches. And then we also got Heather Keats here as well, where she's down like, man, I think she's down like 57 inches or something crazy like that. She's only down like 30 something pounds, but she's down 57 inches. And this was possible because she shifted from like wanting to just eat less and like this green tea detoxes and like quick fixes and Shakeology from Beachbody and like keto to going something that's sustainable, incorporating foods that she likes to have. She still has McDonald's from time to time. She still has bread. She still has things that she wants to have. We just did in a sustainable way and made sure she also her family started eating healthier and they're also on the right trajectory as well. And she also came to us where her A1C, like for her diabetes, was at a really unhealthy level. Now it's at a healthy level. Like she's doing way better. She's way happier. She has way more confidence. And she's also 9 months into her journey and she's kept it off and she's still losing weight. And I told you in the beginning of the call that if you needed more help, I would show you what to do. You don't need me. You have the option to take what you just learned and you've seen the system, you've got the information now. You can apply it yourself or you can go faster. And here's how to go faster. And I want to help you go faster. I've set aside time this week with myself on my calendar, and we would love to offer you a free strategy session. So here's what we're going to do together on the call. Set goals for the next 4 to 6 months so you're clear on where you want to go, Ask yourself right now, where do you want to be in 6 months from now? If you haven't been just living day to day, hoping it's going to work out, it's not going to work out. You need to make sure you're intentional about it and uncovering the roadblocks that are getting in the way of you unleashing your best, most confident self so you can get clear on exactly what you need to do to achieve your goals. Plus, setting up a 16-week roadmap for implementing the Hansen Health weight loss blueprint that I just showed you. I've only got so much time on my calendar, so if this is something you think that could help you, sign up right now. Comment me in the comments and I'll send you a link to book a strategy call with me. And we're going to hop into this one-on-one. Remember why this is important to you when it comes to like your mental health. How are you going to be showing up for your kids? How are you going to be showing up for your job? How your life quality is going to be in the next like 5, 10, 20 years if you don't get this area taken care of. You made the decision to watch this video because you wanted a solution, and this is the solution. And I'm asking you to make a decision for yourself, and it's time to step up and stop the madness. What do you have to lose? And so, like, here's what you can gain. Comment me in the comments, and I'll send you a link to book a strategy call with me right now. That was an awesome training, guys. Thanks so much for coming. That was great. Let me just pull up the recording here. One sec. Or not the recording, the live. I got lots of comments here. Crystal, Jamie, Cindy, what is going on, guys? Awesome turnout, awesome turnout. So again, if you want to be able to book a strategy call with me, just put me in the comments. Also, I'm also willing to like send you over some of the guides. Like if you put recipe below, I can also shoot that over to you as well. But thanks so much for coming, guys. This was an awesome training. Let's end this week strong. I'll talk to you guys soon.